Hi everybody, today I'm going to talk about interior vinyls, plastics, and leather and how I've taken care of them since about 1995. So this is the interior of my 1993 Tornado Red Audi S4, and you can see the dash is a little bit shiny, and that is because I've just put protectant on this. Seat wise, you can see these are the original seats, never refinished, recovered, and they are still quite nice. And also with the door panels here, got the original door panels. A little bit of junk in there, but you know, that's how it goes. So this car I've had for 20 years, and I don't have any cracks in the vinyl aside from the typical corner crack that you'll often see on these where the screw goes through. Aside from that, very nice. Now I did use this car daily. It was my daily driver up until about 2.5 years ago, and in doing so I basically had to be pretty religious about taking care of the interior. And step one is obviously keep it clean. That's kind of a no-brainer. But beyond that, a series of products that I've used, and this is not a paid promotion in any kind, but for actually since about 1995, I started using Lexol for the leather and the Lexol Vinylex for the interior vinyl. And I'm going to show you just kind of how I do that and what I use it on. So we'll cut here and I'll be right back. So this is a very expensive and high-tech tool known as a sock. It's an old sock with a hole in it, but it makes a great applicator for Lexol Vinylex. And what I do is I basically saturate this sock with Vinylex, and then I go over every single vinyl and rubber surface in the interior of this car, including the B-pillars, you know, sunroof control panel I don't usually touch because those are feeble at best. But I do all of the surrounds around the seat here, all of the door jambs, including the plastic here, and especially things like the rubber gaskets that have the wiring in them. Take great care to go over these. Of course, all of the rubber door stripping. This gets gone over with the Vinylex, including all the panels, all of the little rotor dials, you name it. Of course, the dashboard and switchgear. Of course, I'll go over these again with another sock or the other side of the sock in order to make them so that they're not slimy, but I want to get the Vinylex on there for the UV protectant part of it. And it's actually really easy. I mean, I'll just put on some music and I'll just kind of go over and wipe every part of these door panels down, front and rear, and including the exterior trim. This is something a lot of people don't do on their cars, but if you get this coated, and I have actually ceramic coated these so they stay black longer, and that's another tip, is you can actually get them really clean and then ceramic coat it with the rest of your car. It does a great job on the bumpers, in fact, but that's for another day. For the Vinylex, like I said, you just keep everything clean and conditioned, and I do this honestly probably monthly on my cars, and it doesn't take that long. I mean, I'll do the whole interior in this car in 5 minutes probably. But I'm going to show you here. I'm going to switch over to the white car and I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to show you the difference between here. I've been using Vinylex for years. This is the white car, and on the white one, for a 1-year period, I switched to a product called 303 Protectant. And instead of Vinylex, because basically it was getting hard for me to find locally and even online, there was a year or two ago I had issues finding it for some reason. So I switched to 303 because I've read good reviews of that online, and so basically switched my monthly maintenance over to 303. And it started with, you know, just cleaning the dash with basically an old sock that was warm water, got it all clean, and then dried it, and then started doing 303 over everything. And as you can see, this particular dash developed a crack right over the instrument pod. And I have seen these cars with cracks in the dash, but it's not real common. And I've certainly never, you know, we've had these since 1995. This particular car we've owned since 2003, I believe it was, the fall of 2003, and have used Vinylex everywhere, you know, and Lexol, the same drill, on all three cars. And on the red car, I actually had used Vinylex on that one, and then it went into storage, and this one was getting the 303 and got a crack. So I'm not a big fan of that. You know, can't prove it scientifically, but it is quite the coincidence that this one developed a crack and all the other cars that stayed Vinylex or didn't get treated for a period of time but had Vinylex are still crack free. But, you know, that's the fun of owning an old car and trying to pick the products you use on them with care. But you can see these seats are really, really nice. And there's Ben. Now, as I go back to the red car, I'm going to point out another place where I use this Vinylex. And it's on all of the rubber bits under the hood on these cars. And I know it seems like a pain, but I do this on my cars. Under the hood I do probably 4 times a year, maybe more depending on the car. This one, obviously before car shows and things, but I use that same sock that I've used on the interior. I switch it over and I basically now start coating all of the hoses under the hood. And so when it's on your hand, you can very easily wrap around a hose and clean all the way around it and also condition that. So it's one way to keep your hoses nice and supple and clean. And it's also good, I mean, it just helps you kind of get a good visual inspection. So when I'm diving in deep to clean all of these hoses and keep them looking good, it's also a way to see, do I have any leaks? Is there any concern that I'm stumbling across here as I detail the engine? And of course the rain tray up here is also a nice thing to keep well conditioned so it looks nice and doesn't crack. Even the prop rod. So pretty much anywhere there is rubber, like the front gasket, anywhere there's rubber, plastic, or vinyl, it's getting coated and treated, I should say, with the Vinylex protectant. That includes the wheel liners down in here. I will frequently clean these out, and they haven't been done in a while, but I will spray those with Vinylex as well, because they do definitely crack as they get older and they dry out. So anyhow, that is not exactly rocket science or a revelation to anyone, I'm sure, but if you're new to these or just trying to maintain yours the best you can, those are 2 things that work really well for me. I've done them for years and years and years. So you can see that, time tested, I guess you'd say. And they're not crazy expensive. It's not some, these little boutique detailer things like, oh, you've got to ceramic coat your shift knob, I mean, nah. Anyhow, keep it simple. Just take care of them. Keep them clean. Keep them UV protected is a big thing on these old plastics. So definitely do your dashboard, especially your Lexol, the rear seat headrests. I know they like to split like crazy, so that is very crucial, and I will do those in the summertime. If it's outside a lot, they're getting done every 2 weeks in the rear. So with that sock, with it sprayed on the sock, Lexol Leather conditioner, same thing with the seats, just wipe everything down. Works really well. So hope this helps. Keep them on the road. We'll talk to you next time.